It's time for school days. Help for moms and dads of school-age kids.
I tell parents, you're like a training wheel on a bike. Your job isn't to make the bike move. Your job is to keep the bike upright.
Those of us who are the true educators, we really want to be given the opportunity to educate the whole child.
We can get free college degrees based on all of the opportunities that are out here and available to our students.
Oftentimes, as parents, I think we want to protect our kids, but I think one of the greatest gifts we can give them is allow them to experience adversity.
Yeah.
Here's your host, Donita Bailey.
Well, good morning. Welcome to School Days, to help for moms and dads of school-aged kids. I'm Donita Bailey. Today we're talking about being quarantined with kids. Here in Dallas, Texas, it's been about 5 weeks ago on David, my husband's birthday, that our world turned upside down with declarations of emergency followed by social distancing and orders to shelter at home or quarantine. The conversations I've had with my girlfriend and posts that I've seen on social media have run the gamut between living their best life in quarantine or experiencing real signs of grief and clinical depression. But one thing that the majority of my friends and I have in common is that we are sheltering at home with kids, and that means we've become emergency homeschool teachers, like it or not. So I wanted to depart from our norm, and instead of talking to experts, I wanted to talk to a diverse group of moms about our experiences during this crazy time. Today, we'll talk about how we're doing in our new roles as homeschool moms, how we're handling the emotions of a global pandemic, ours and those of our families, and what we're doing to make it all work. Or not. Before we go any further, let me just say it does take a village. If you hear a great parenting tip or nugget of advice, share it with your parent friends. Facebook it, Instagram it, tweet it, link it in, and add the hashtag SchoolDaysShow and hashtag IamSchoolDays. And also, we do want you to be a part of the show, especially today, because we're all moms and we're all trying to get through this together. So if you have any questions or comments, give us a call at 214-444-5575. Or if you're live with us on Facebook, you can drop us a question there. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So I have invited with me 6 incredible ladies, and like everybody else, we're all doing Zoom meetings. So this is my real big Zoom meeting. And really, we just want to start. I want everybody to tell me your name, what you do, and who you're quarantined with. So let's start with Gloria here. This is Gloria Weber.
Hi, I'm Gloria Hughes-Weber. I am a third grade teacher. I am quarantined with my 19-year-old college student chrysanthemum, my 14-year-old ninth grader Hawaii, my 12-year-old 7th grader Begifima, my 10-year-old 5th grader Valiant, my 8-year-old 3rd grader Lavender, and an extra baby that I have, and she is also in 9th grade, and her name's Cassidy.
All right. And Julie Roden.
My name is Julie, and I am a client success manager for a health company. I am quarantined with my husband, Stan, who also works full-time as a pastor. I have a 7-year-old son, Cash, a 5-year-old daughter, Isley, a 3-year-old son, Augustin, and a almost 8-month-old, Micah. I only have one school-age child. Cash is in 1st grade, and Isley is in pre-K. So we do have some stuff to do for her.
Okay. And Heather Shaw.
Hi, I'm Heather, and I am quarantined at home with my husband, Ed, who's an aerospace engineer. So he's doing work from home. I am a homeschooler for the past 4 years, and I am home with my girls. I have, Izzy is 11 and is in 6th grade, and Cece is 9 and is kind of that 3rd, 4th grade level for us.
Okay. Amy Boyd.
Hello, my name is Amy Boyd. I am a dental professional going on 11 years. And I am currently a student, full-time student, also taking online classes to finish up a science degree, looking into going into dental hygiene starting in May. So I will be finishing up a degree and starting another one. I have one school-aged son. His name is Alec. He is 7. He's in first grade. And we are quarantined together along with my parents. And we are in a small house.
I feel you on this small house thing. Small house, lots of people.
Yes, exactly. That was my point.
Okay, let's hear from Christy Ledesma.
Hey there, my name is Christy Ledesma. I am a owner-operator of a special needs company called A Fair Choice. I am quarantined with my husband, Daniel, who he's a facilities operator for a charter school. And my 2 kiddos, Natalie is 8, yes, 8 in the 2nd grade. No, 7. Oh my gosh, her birthday's coming up. Sorry, 7 in 2nd grade. And my son, Daniel Michael, who is pre-K 5. So it's interesting.
Okay, and last but not least, Rochelle Moss.
Hello, my name is Rochelle Moss, and I am a doctoral student at Dallas Baptist University. This is my first year going back to school. I am quarantined with my husband, Dr. Quentin Moss, who's a teacher. I'm also quarantined with my 3 sons, who are Quentin Moss, who's a 6th grader. I also have a 4th grader, Jeremiah Moss, and a 1st grader, Micah Moss.
All right. Should I introduce myself? Say who I'm quarantined with? So I'm Donita Bailey, and I am quarantined with my husband, who is a middle school math teacher. He teaches algebra and geometry. Praise the Lord. Everybody should be quarantined with a math teacher, right? And I'm quarantined also with my children. Jonathan is 9 years old. He's a 3rd grader. Christina is 7. She's a 1st grader. And DJ is 12. He is a 6th grader. So, all right. Well, now that we have gotten to know each other just a little bit, or we've let our audience know who they're talking to, I'd love to know what a day in the life is looking like for you guys now. So, like, some people I've heard, and it's me, I'm staying up late and getting up late. So I'm staying up till the wee hours of the morning and then getting up late. But then there's some people like my sister, and let me qualify that by saying she has basically grown children. So they're doing their own thing, but she's kept her 4 o'clock in the morning, waking morning thing, getting up, reading the Bible, and exercising and all those things. And she's, putting on makeup. So what does life look like for you guys? Just jump right in, anybody.
I would have to say I'm kind of with your sister on this one. For us, I've really tried to stick to somewhat of a normal schedule. I'm not doing hair and makeup, that's for sure. But, just getting up and getting ready for the day, making sure that we at least put on something other than pajamas. Not sleeping super late. I am staying up later, which I've got to stop that. And then just kind of getting our day started and just having somewhat of a normal day. Alec and I both work really well with schedules, and so him more so than me. So I try to just keep him in that because it eliminates a lot of attitude. And so that's just kind of what we've done to stay normal.
So who has changed their schedule? Who's not like doing all the things that you were doing before quarantine?
I don't know that my schedule has changed a whole lot, but we're 5 weeks in now, and we've done like 5 different weekly schedules, just trying to figure out what is working for us. And so actually this week, my job, I've been mostly from home anyway. 3 days a week I've been home and 2 days in office. So this isn't a huge change other than now having all 4 kids at home when I'm working from home. And so this week we're going to try just doing school in the afternoon for the kids. Morning time is optimal, obviously, for my children, for at least for Cash, because he's in a better mood in the morning. But my 3-year-old doesn't understand why he doesn't have his siblings to play with. And I'm also just busier in the mornings, and so is my husband. So we're going to try schooling during the nap time this week and see if that helps at all.
Great things can happen during nap time. That is some prime time right there. Gloria?
Yeah, so we'll see.
So I sort of had to do a blended of non-schedule and schedule, just because I'm a huge free spirit and I'm raising a bunch of free spirits. And so if there wasn't a schedule, nothing would get done. So I had to put a schedule in place. But that schedule has been changed so many times, just because I tried to do teacher mode, where I said, from this time to this time we're doing math, and from this time to this time we're doing reading. And so my kids are really advanced in reading, but just regular kids in math. So when math time came, I had a line of kids waiting for me to help them with their math. And so I had to do algebra and third grade math, and I was like, this is not working. So then I switched it sort of to like a bell schedule. And so I was like, this is first period, and this is second period, and this is third period. And then my kids have math at different periods so that I can be there to help them. And so I made my schedule to where I was teaching as a teacher as my job before my job as a mom to teach happened. And then I teach again after my job as a mom. I go back to job teacher. And so sort of in between. And then at a certain point, we're done by 1:30. Nobody's doing anything. I'm not teaching. They're not learning. We're done. And we do whatever we want.
About how many... I'm sorry, I stepped on what you were saying. What did you say?
It's just sort of a blend of free time, scheduled time, that kind of stuff. So. Gotcha. I would love to know, what are your quarantine guilty pleasures? There's a lot of laughing, but nobody's saying anything. The pantry, the refrigerator, everything, all the food.
All the food. Anybody else?
I've definitely upped my snacking game. Yeah. Ben and Jerry's. We've become real close friends. Late night binge watching Netflix. I used to never do that, and Ben and Jerry, we've got it down.
You, Ben, and Jerry are Netflixing together. Anybody else?
Yeah, I downloaded a social app called TikTok.
Oh, Lord.
And I'm up so late. In the bed, Stan will be watching a TV show, and I have my earbuds in, and I'm just laughing, and he's like, what is wrong with you? And I'll be watching just some dumb TikTok, and I show him, and he is like, this is so stupid. But I'm laughing for 5 minutes off this one stupid TikTok.
Okay, but so that's great and all, but when can we expect the Roden family TikTok video to appear?
I have attempted a few.
I'm going to need you to post those, because I'm not on TikTok and I don't even really understand what that is. So I'm going to need you to put them on Facebook. Anybody else TikToking out there?
Unfortunately, my kids have forced me to do it.
I love it. I'm loving seeing all the celebrities TikToking, like Mario Lopez. Do y'all follow him on Instagram? He is doing these TikTok dances while he's got a baby. They've got a 1-year-old baby, and he's strapped in the Bjorn, and he's strapped to the front of him. And so the whole family's dancing while Mario Lopez and all his muscles has this baby strapped to him, and they're dancing. It's super cute. So I don't usually binge watch videos or movies or what am I trying to say? Series. But for some reason on Netflix, everything is a series now. I don't know why they can't just give me an hour-and-a-half movie so I can be done with it. But now everything is a series, so now I got to watch your 13 episodes of it, and it's really irritating. But I'm watching American doggone, what is it called?
All American.
Thank you. I couldn't remember this
we
before, and you had
watched
to
that
remind.
show.
All American, and it's about a football player from Crenshaw who gets kind of adopted by this Beverly Hills family. So it's like a combination of Beverly Hills 90210 and Boys in the Hood. And what was the other thing you said it was?
Friday Night Lights.
Friday Night Lights, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm on season 2 already, and my husband has kind of been watching it with me, and he every time he tunes back in, he's like, "You're 4 episodes ahead of me." So that's been my Netflix guilty pleasure. All right, so getting back on track here a little bit. I was reading an article in the Harvard Business Journal, and they interviewed a guy named David Kessler, who's one of the foremost experts on grief in the world. And he said that we're feeling a number of different types of grief. So not just one type of grief. We're feeling different types of griefs. We're grieving in different ways, I guess. We feel that the world has changed, and it has. And we know that this is temporary, but it doesn't feel that way. And we realize that things are different. Just as going through an airport is forever different from how it was before 9/11. And he said, we're experiencing the loss of normalcy, the fear of economic toll, the loss of connection, and this is hitting us, and we're grieving collectively, and we are not used to this kind of collective grief in the air. And he also said that we're feeling anticipatory grief, and that is the feeling we get when we don't know what the future holds, and it's uncertain, and that kind of like when somebody receives a scary diagnosis. So I want to ask, how are you guys feeling? How has quarantine impacted your mental health?
Believe it or not, if anything, it's given me more peace. I'm calmer. I can get more organized. I'm not feeling like I'm a crazy squirrel in a rat wheel. Yeah, I've used a squirrel and a rat. But like, I'm not all over the place. So for me and my family, as far as how we interact and how we work and just our work schedules and school schedules, things are calmer. We do more things at a slower pace, and we get it done, and there's no stress. Like, it's Hakuna Matata, literally. So I'm just excited to help people where I can, and if you need it, I'm gonna come and drop it off to you, mask or no mask. Like,
mask for me, please.
I'm just saying, I'm gonna stay my 6 feet. But I'm just saying, for us, it's really allowed us to just truly focus on what's important and take care of that, and everything else is just extra. But it's definitely made, I feel calmer. I don't feel grief or anxiety or any, I don't. I'm excited to be at home and not have to be someplace.
Yeah, for sure. I'm always telling Christy that she's living her best quarantine life. I mean, you should see her Facebook. And, sometimes Facebook is not representative of what's really happening, but she's all like campfires and s'mores and like...
We've had a lot of campfires.
Right.
Past year.
Yeah, but because I know her, they really are living their best life over there. So, Amy, what's going on over there?
Yeah, I kind of want to agree with Christy in a lot of ways. For me, I've been working since Alec was 6 weeks old, full time. At one point, I had 2 jobs, and then after that, I've been in school. So full time working in school, and so I always had this desire and dream just to be home with him and just be a full on mom. And I've never been able to have that, not at no fault of my own, just being a single mom. It's just that I'm, 100% responsible for income and whatever. And so, having the opportunity to be home with him has just been the most incredible blessing. With that said, there is kind of this uneasiness feeling because I am laid off. I am unemployed right now. And then I did get accepted into hygiene school during all of this. And so, trying to get financials in order, there's just a lot to get in order. And then of course our topic, homeschooling on top of that. Mm-hmm. So I'm, trying to finish up a school and going to a new school, homeschooling my child, trying to decide what I'm going to do financially for the future. So there is that kind of uneasiness, that I guess grief, about the future. Like, what does that even look like? Because right now I just don't know.
Yeah.
And being the sole provider for my son, that's pretty scary. And so I've had to fight down, some anxiety, some pressures, some negativity about that, and just really try to remain my naturally positive self, and then be that for him too. So I kind of get a little of both sides of that.
Yeah, and we should say you were laid off as a result of COVID-19.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So you're a dental professional, and basically your office is now only emergency.
Correct.
Taking emergent patients. So he had to lay off his entire staff, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I want to say that I tend to have a very serious personality anyway, and I'm a planner, and I do everything very strategic. And so when I prayed last year about if I should go back to school, I waited 5 years. My son is now 6. He's in first. I was like, this is the perfect time to go back to school. Well, I went back to school. I finished my first semester, and then this happened. So not only am I in school getting the hardest degree I ever could get, I am home with the school teacher who is Zooming and having conferences and having professional development while maintaining a household that has 3 children from first grade to 6th grade. They're all at different stages, and it has been a whirlwind for someone who's a planner, who likes to do things right. And so there's this pressure. I have to continue to remind myself of what Psalms 91 says, which is God will protect me. He will protect us from the devourer, from plagues. Because for my personality, I can't see how I'm going to, all these boys, I want them to do well academically. Myself, I have made straight A's. I don't know what this is going to look like, but I know that will God be pleased? That's my biggest question. Lord, am I pleasing you? And so what each day looks like is different. Some days it looks like Micah saying, Mommy, I miss you. You're studying and I want to spend time with you. Another day is me talking to my preteen, almost 12-year-old, saying, hey, how's school going? So it's my husband has stepped up. Shout out to Ron Moss, because thank God I'm married to a teacher right now. Like, if you're not married to a teacher, like, man, I hit the lotto. All of us who are married to teachers. Like Zooming, he's putting the children on Google Classroom. He's teaching them in ways that I started out, because when school started, we were on spring break and they gave us an extended spring break. But now it's back to, I have a research paper, 20-page paper due this week. So it's not easy. I just have to remember to drink lots of chamomile tea and remind myself that this is temporary. But it's very difficult when the more pressure you have, I think the more you have a tendency to want to take over and feel in control.
Yeah.
When the reality is I'm not. It's a fake sense of control. God is the only one that's in control.
It's so funny you're saying that, because I'm feeling a lot of what you're saying, Rochelle. You and I are kind of the same person. We've always talked about that. You and I are very similar, and our husbands are also very similar to each other. So, hey, Julie, can you kind of chime in, because you talked a little bit about how you're feeling, and I really related to a lot of the things that you were saying. So, how has quarantine been going for you?
Yeah, so I'm also a planner, and I like to have, all my days don't look the same, but each day looks the same every week, typically for me. And so this has not been super easy for us. And then in particular, Tuesdays are just extra hard. It's one of my busiest days, and it's also one of my husband's busiest days for his work. And both of us have, I have a client-facing job, so I spend a lot of my day talking with clients, whether it's over chat or on phone, or training clients. And so it's a lot of customer-facing things. And then my husband is a pastor, so it's a lot of meetings, and it's neither one of us have jobs where we're just holed up and just can do it, as we need to. And so it's been a challenge for us, especially with 4 kids at home. And then on Tuesdays, if I'm honest, most Tuesdays, I don't even want to get out of bed. I wake up and I think, oh my gosh, another really hard day. And I just can't imagine making it through this day, and it going well. And so, I have spent a lot of time just relearning, like, just to wake up to a dependence on the Lord, which, it's really easy, just to wake up and go about your day and, not like, just cognitively realize, like, I cannot do this without the Lord here, by my side supporting me. And so it's been hard. It's been a change, but it's also been really good in ways, for our family and for our marriage. And just realizing, like, we're in this together, and just both of us stepping up in ways that, we don't normally, that's not our normal role in this household. And so that's just been really awesome as well. And then just learning just how to slow down, because we live really busy lives. And a lot of that is just things that we choose to do. Like we're very social. We like to spend time with friends and family. And so it's just kind of taught us a little bit of how to slow down and just spend more time, just the six of us. So that's been really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to say, and I'm taking a deep breath. This has been particularly hard for me. I'm one of those people who doesn't know how to sit down. And so being in a situation where I got to do a lot of sitting down is weird for me. And then I also have just not felt up for the game, like kind of what you're saying, Julie. I just haven't felt like doing the things that I want to do. They say that that's really a sign of depression. Not doing the things that you normally want to do. But I've just found it like difficult to just, I'm putting things off that I normally wouldn't put off, and things that I actually enjoy doing, I'm kind of putting off. And so this has just been a really weird experience. Talking about the grieving, and that there are different, I don't know what the 7 stages of grieving are. I actually meant to look that up before coming on here, but I think that even those of us that are living our best lives, we have lost a lot. We've lost our ability to just go to parks. Although, I think today in Texas, at least, they're opening up a national park, so we can start going back to those. But, any of our friends that have seniors in high school, they've lost their senior year. They're not going to have prom. They probably will not have graduation. And so we are collectively grieving just even the safety of being outside of your house. I miss just being able to, good gravy. There's been so many things that I need that I'm just like, oh, I just need to go to Walgreens just real quick to go get this thing. But I don't feel safe to do that. I feel like I've got to go through all these motions to do that. I've got to put on a mask, and then, anything that I bring inside the house, I've got to sanitize, and just having the freedom of being able to go and say, hey, I just need some AAA batteries right quick. And not feeling like I've got to order them on Amazon so I can stay safe. I think we're just in such a weird place that we're all having to learn how to process and move through. And with all of us with different experiences and different backgrounds, I know that people who've experienced trauma are probably feeling this in a different way. I was watching a Facebook Live this morning, and I realized I'm talking too much because we are already at 28 minutes. We are totally going to go over, but just be prepared for it. I was watching a Facebook Live this morning of a friend who lost her mom just in December, and so I know that all of this is doubly difficult for her during this time. So anyway, I just rambled a lot here, but wanted to share kind of how this is falling on me as well. Let's skip forward to, well, what are you guys doing to help your kids stay connected with their friends? I know with, there's a lot of people whose kids have phones. Our kids don't have phones. They don't have their own devices, so they're not able to just call people up. So maybe your kids have phones. I don't know if they do, but what are you doing if they don't to try to keep them connected? Because they still need to have some sort of community in the midst of all this.
We're doing Zoom. We're setting up Zoom dates, and we're doing it through our community group, and we're doing it through our co-op. The girls, they played Uno with some friends. I'm not sure how they managed it, but they did it. And they themselves are being extremely creative in how they're interacting with their friends online. We can do Messenger, we can do FaceTime, because this is really impacting them. We homeschool, of course, but we are so active. We're in so many different groups and we're always on the go. And so it's hit them really hard, and I can see it in their behavior, especially my youngest, she is just a social butterfly. And so giving them that ability, and my girls don't have a phone either. They've got a shared phone that they use for texting if they're away from us. Mm-hmm. But that's how we've managed through that.
Christy?
So for us, it's mostly been our kiddos have tablets, and they have like some of our old junky phones. But with tablets, they use the kids' Facebook Messenger, and like we have strategic people that they're able to communicate to and send messages to and change their faces and have fun with that. And then on top of that as well, with their school, we have a scheduled call with her classroom every Thursday at 6:30. And so everybody gets on, she can see all her schoolmates, and they interact that way. And then thankfully, we have awesome neighbors. We actually had a play date last night.
We won't tell anybody.
And they came over and they played Uno, and they jumped on the trampoline. They played Tea Party and Cars. And so it was one of those things where they still need that interaction as kids. And so we were able to do that with them. So they've been really good about finding ways to communicate, whether it's to family, friends, or school friends.
Amy?
Yes, so this is actually an area that has been really hard on Alec, especially being a single, an only child in a house full of adults. And, he really misses interaction with other kids. We're not actually playing with our neighbor kids right now, just kind of decisions on, both parties. And then he's used to having his cousins over every other weekend. And so we haven't really done that. And then, of course, being involved in after-school programs. He's part of the YMCA, involved in sports. And so he hasn't had any, kid interaction, which has been really hard on him. Even though he is kind of a homebody, this is one area that I think is really starting to get to him. So we have incorporated FaceTime. We've done a lot of that with his cousins. And then myself, I've really had to kind of just put myself aside and the things that I want to get done for myself, my duties, as a student or whatever, really had to just kind of put that aside and get on his level. And so we play basketball. We have basketball matches. We have a lot of board games. And so, for the people that know me know that I'm kind of like a kid at heart anyway. And so just kind of getting on his level and, playing video games with him, and just doing kid stuff to try and keep him a kid, and I'm trying not to pull him into the adult world. I'm trying to put myself into his world more, especially during this time. And so that's been, as an adult, you kind of have to okay, let's level down a little bit. And that has its challenges too, because you have your things that you want to do and, the way you want to do that. But sometimes it's just really great to get on his level and just be that kid with him. And so that's kind of what I've done as far as kind of incorporating that. And then again, like I said, just FaceTiming with the cousins and with the friends and, waving at the neighbors. Yeah. It's been a little hard. That's been an area that's been a little hard for him, for sure.
I have definitely felt a responsibility to play more than ever. I'm trying to make quarantine fun. As much how fun can we make this global pandemic? Because we want our kids don't completely understand this. You know how I know that? Because I don't completely understand this, and their brains aren't fully formed yet. So we're trying to, and they look to us for to be grounded as much as possible. So I feel like I'm kind of trying to make distractions let's go play this and let's pull out Yahtzee, all the things, and try to make this as fun as possible. I've seen a lot of people on social media talk about how this is, we're making memories right now. We're making history for sure right now, but this is something that they're going to look back on. And I saw one post saying that they're not going to look back on, or then their memories are not going to be of, all the people that died and all of the, whatever. They're probably more so going to remember, well, we made s'mores in the backyard, and mom scootered for a mile with us and almost broke her hip, and those are the things that they're really going to remember. So that's what we're trying to do, is to continue to make memories. Julie?
Yeah, so we are kind of in the same boat. We try to have phone calls and Zoom calls and FaceTime, but with really young kids, they don't quite get the concept as well. And then, we're also like Christy, we have select families that we quarantine together. And so we try and send them in the backyard where it's, they're not quite social distancing as much because they're kids, but, we're also not on top of each other. So, we're doing what we can to keep them entertained and to also to keep everybody sane. But we do spend a lot more time, playing games or, doing the things that the kids really want to do.
Yeah. I know more of you want to chime in about this, but I want to move on to homeschooling. I know some people don't like to call this homeschooling because it's not actually homeschooling, and we'll get to that, Rochelle. I'm messing with you, Rochelle. So I want to ask, when did you actually start teaching? Did you jump right in? I saw people online as soon as we closed schools, they were like, okay, I made my schedule, it's color coordinated, and like Army drill sergeant. But then there's some people that aren't doing it. According to some of my teachers, or my kids' teachers, they're saying I haven't heard from them at all, some of these people. So when did you guys actually start? Anybody?
Well, I'll start. We started right away because it has been my dream to homeschool my boys since they were born, but we never could agree on when the time was right. So the school they go to didn't have anything in plan. So we just decided to just start what we wanted. We created our own curriculum and our own schedule. We did a college schedule, which is a AB day. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we did English, social studies. And on Tuesday, Thursday, we did science and art and Spanish. And so we just did our own schedule. Then 2 weeks in, the teachers decided to give us homework. So it became started.
Drat.
And then it wasn't fun anymore.
That's hilarious.
And so now we're on the school schedule again. And I'm struggling with the stuff that they're giving them now. And so I keep telling people, this is not homeschooling. Having homeschooled our first child, my sister, this is not homeschooling. With homeschooling, it is a total different environment. Homeschooling is a group. You plan, you've had time to plan. You probably went to some type of conferences and did some type of training. You know what curriculum you're going to pick. You decide what your students do. You decide what they read. You decide where they go. Well, with distant learning, the teachers are giving us a curriculum that says, I want this done by this day. I want this done. And some of the parents have not even been trained on the stuff that the schools are asking them to do. So it's a lot of stress and pressure for parents. They're overwhelmed. A lot of the parents I'm talking to are overwhelmed by what the teachers are giving them, especially if you have multiple children, multiple grade levels. It is very overwhelming for the parents right now. Versus homeschooling is the parent says, hey, I'm going to put y'all in a group together. Y'all have this assignment and it's due on this day. So there's quite a difference between online and homeschooling.
Well, that and homeschooling is a choice. We don't have a choice. We were just told what to do and we're doing it. Amy.
Yes. So this is kind of an interesting subject for me because I was homeschooled my whole life until I was 16 and decided okay, I'm done and I'm graduating. And I, just to be honest, I hated it. And I swore I would never homeschool my children. So never say never. That's lesson number one. I'm like, this is really coming back to bite me in the butt, isn't it? My mom is just sitting over here like, So that said, I kind of had a general idea of like, okay, I know how this works, So I did kind of jump in immediately. We did the same thing. We had just an extended spring break. Once spring break was over, I actually purchased I know probably some of you guys have heard of it, but it's like the highlight books. You can get them off of Amazon. They're for like first, second, third graders. And I had actually got one last year for first grade for Alec during the summer, where I would just be like, here, do a couple of pages throughout the summer. And so
are those the bridge books? Are those also called bridge books?
Bridge books, yeah, bridge books.
Same thing. Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of the same thing, but I think like highlights writes it or something. So
The magazine highlights?
No, they actually create a book that you can get that's got like all kinds of school activities in it.
But I mean, is it from the magazine the publishers of the magazine highlights?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah. So I pulled that out and I was like, all right, so on Monday we're doing pages, 96 through whatever. And so we did that every day. And then, like Rochelle said, they send us homework to start doing. And I was like, hold up. We already have our system. Like, don't go messing this up for me. And plus me doing schoolwork too, it was hard for us because I only have my laptop. And sorry, but my 7-year-old is not allowed to touch my laptop.
True that.
And I was like, how am I going to get my homework done, do his homework too? So I contacted our teacher and just said, look, I've already got a system in place. Can I just submit what we're doing to you and that count as credit? She came back, she spoke with the principal, and she agreed. I said, that's totally fine. So just, as advice, maybe contact your teachers and see if that is something that you can do, if it works better for you that way.
I love that she agreed to that. I think because their biggest concern right now is those people on the other end of the spectrum from the drill sergeants, the ones that are like, I ain't doing it.
My initial was like, I said I was never going to homeschool my kids. So I'm not, that was my initial. And I was like, okay, I can't have that attitude. Like, that's horrible. But I've accepted it. And I was like, never say never. Here we are. And Alec and I sit down together in the mornings. I do mine. He does his. We're done by like 1 o'clock. And I submit the work to the teacher and it's done.
Good for you. Gloria, how's homeschooling been going for you? Because you have 6 then, right?
Yeah.
But there are some that are self-sufficient in quote, self-sufficient, right?
Yes. And okay, the biggest thing for me, thank God, I'm super, super, super grateful that they go to the district that they go to. They go to Weatherford ISD, and Weatherford ISD was super concerned about equality and making sure that everybody, understanding that not everybody has educated parents at home, not everybody has the ability to get on Imagine Learning or Imagine Math and so just they were really concerned about equality. And so what they did is they sent out a whole bunch of choice boards. And so it was like, for math, you can do all of this. And you can do, let's say it was studying your multiplication cards or whatever. You can actually do that every single day and count that as math, or you can change it up. So they, thank God, were very flexible to do. And then they just gave us a piece of paper where we write down, Monday I did this for math, Tuesday I did this for math, Thursday. And so at the end of the year, I guess now it's the end of the year, it was supposed to only be the month we were gonna, and they had mailed it to us too, so we didn't have to go pick it up or anything. They just mailed it to everybody, write down what you're doing and send it back. And then the teachers call and check in and so when we first started, they weren't taking grades. So I was like, read, whatever. And so I was not going to stress myself out about it because I had so many kids and because I was also teaching. So I'm trying to juggle how to teach parents how to teach, or really for the longest time I was these parent counselors. They'd call me and be like, I'm stressed out. And then so I used my whole, well, I got 6 kids at home and I'm doing it too. So I don't know, like, I get it. Like, I know.
Suck it up. How many kids do you have?
Yes, well, and one was calling me, I have 2 kids. I'm like, don't even start. No, I'm just kidding. No, I was very understanding, but if it wasn't for grade, we weren't doing it. And then as soon as the district came out and was like, we're going to do the pass fail or pass incomplete or whatever, I was like, oh, now we got to actually do it. But I'm very lucky in that they kept it simple, and everybody's doing the same thing, and it's a choice. And the teachers are so accommodating, and
Yes.
so I also tried to make sure that I was doing the same thing for my students' parents. And so some of them were in the same boat. They had a lot of kids, and they had kids who were in, sophomores in high school. And for the first week, I was like, dude, read to them. If you're reading a picture book to them every night, just call me, tell me you're doing it. I'm going to give you the grade for the assignment. I don't care what the assignment was. You're going to get credit for it.
Yeah.
And I need you to focus on your sophomore who's, it's for credit. I don't want your sophomore to lose their credit. Your third grader is, and I say this a lot because there was this parent that's like, I'm failing my kid. And I'm like, are you reading to your kid? Yes. Then you're good. Don't worry about it. I said, I can catch that kid up. That's our job as teachers, is to catch these kids up. We get them years behind, and our job is to catch them up, and that's what we're trained to do, and we can do it. What we cannot do, I mean, we can, but it's very difficult, is to get through that traumatized brain that had to sit home with that mom who was screaming at them about, why don't you know your math homework, and it's 5 apples, why don't you get 5 apples, blah, blah, blah. And so now they hate math, and now I have to spend 6 weeks, untraumatizing that brain for math. So I just try to make sure the parents understand that your job right now is to teach them how to walk through trauma, teach them how to do that one day at a time, teach them how to do step one foot in front of the other, teach them to take breathers, teach them to come back to something that was difficult after taking a break, those kind of things. If they don't know what 6 times 4 is, when I get them in August, they'll learn by the end of August. We'll be okay. And so I had to tell myself that as a parent, but it's easy to tell it as a teacher, like, oh, don't worry about it, you'll be fine, we'll catch them up. And as a parent, you're like, how am I going to do this? But so I had a little bit of preaching to myself, but
so that folks right there, I'm looking at the timestamp. It's 47:37, and we will hear this again. I will be grabbing that quote because that was like genius. I love that you were saying, because I was even talking to somebody that his grandson is a pre-K kid, and he was like, the school's not sending much. What do I need to be doing? And I said, okay, work on letter recognition, work on counting to 100, and read to your kid. Period. And you will be golden. Do not worry about that. And what somebody was saying at the beginning is, where and it was you, I think it was you, Gloria. I think this was off air. We were talking about you're an engaged parent. And in his case, he's an engaged grandparent. And so we are way less concerned about you and more concerned about the parents who are maybe not even at home because they're still working two jobs, and the child is just kind of left to his own devices and probably not doing school. So I think that is incredible advice. Do not traumatize your kids during quarantine as much as possible. Calm it down. Take several seats. Be calm. We will be okay, and the teachers will do their jobs in the fall. That was awesome. Julie.
Yeah, actually, so when we did the whole, 1 extra week of spring break, and then the district sent assignments for us, and it was kind of like a pick and choose what you do a couple things from the English and reading, do a couple things from the math, and that was actually really hard for me. And I hated it. And I thought, if this is what it's like the rest of the year, I cannot do this. And then the teachers took over, and we now get lesson plans that are like these are things that you have to do, and these are things that you can do if you want to, and then these are just fun things to do. And it has made a world of difference because, well, mostly I just like to check boxes. I'm a list maker. And so it's really nice because I can look at the things that they have to do and I can say, okay, we did this, we did this, we did this. And then I can, pick a couple of the can do and the fun do and just make it like kind of round out the week. And so it's just been really nice to know this is what I have to do. And then Gloria, you might have made this comment on one of Donita's Facebook posts, but what kind of calmed me down was when someone said exactly what you just said, that as teachers, their job is to catch the students up. And, so if I'm not doing it perfectly, or if I'm not teaching exactly the way that it's supposed to be done, it's a relief to know that that's what they've been trained to do. And so when Cash goes into second grade and when Isley goes into kindergarten, it's going to be okay because they're trained to do what I cannot do, So that was an encouragement to me when I first saw that. I was like, oh, okay.
Yes, I agree. I wanted to read something that somebody that's on Facebook Live right now said. We have 4 to 5 assignments per child, 2 to 3 Zoom meetings each. Plus, they want us to do this supplemental educational website, Lee J Dreambox Math. See, I haven't even heard about that. I thought we had them all. reading A to Z. That's Raz Kids. I think iStation, exact, etc. And she said in all caps, I cannot. It's been super frustrating. I have a 9th grade, 2nd grade, and a kinder student, and I've decided to do what we can, nothing more. Well, Katrina, we applaud you. Do what you can, nothing more. Don't traumatize your kids.
I want to add something to that. Thank you. Shout out to Katrina for expressing that. I just want to remind parents that school is very, very important. It's very important. But what's more important is you using this quarantine to connect with your children. There's a time to create memories, those issues in the character that you see, that you know that they've been struggling with. That is way more important than how much math they did that day.
Oh my gosh.
If you have to choose something to do with your children, put the schoolwork aside and spend quality time with your children, listening to their heart, talking about the things that are triggering them, the things that they didn't have time to talk to you about because we were busy. Use that and let that be your pedometer on how well and how successful you are as a parent, not how many lessons you completed. Because the reality is, having homeschooled and have a 25-year-old, they will learn to do math, multiplication. They will learn to add. They will learn to subtract. But what they will not forget is how you treated them during that time, how much time you spent with them or how you neglected them. So just as a parent, my goal is to create a bond with my children that will last forever, because I want to see healthy adults, 3 healthy adult men to grow up in this home. So I just want to encourage parents, as an advocate for mothers, we are so broken and we are so in need of Jesus that we're not going to get it right. But what we can do is lead our children to Christ and lead them to a relationship where they can know that they're going to be healthy and they're going to be okay at the end of this. And they're watching how we handle this. Even my moments, I'm teaching my kids to do relaxation. There's this music, this piano music. That's all it is piano. And I did a study and it shows that boys especially, they don't stop moving. So I allow the boys to sit still before we even begin homework. We sit for 10, 15 minutes and they have to close their eyes, count their breaths, and just rest. And it's so effective from the beginning a month ago to now. Now they hated it, and now they're like, are we about to relax again? Yes. We're doing it as well. So I hope that helps. We have multiple kids in the house. You have to find a way to teach them to get self-control, to control their anger, to control their thoughts, and that relaxation is a really good way to do that.
I'm gonna steal that so my kids can be like, "Are we about to relax again, Mommy?" Yes, because we all need to relax. Hey, Heather. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No.
I just wanted to add real quick to something that Rochelle said about what we're doing right now is not homeschooling. And then when I was homeschooled, it was in the 90s, and that looks totally different than what homeschool is today. And I'm sure Heather can comment on that. And that, I grew up in the country and there was no activities. And it was just me and my mom at home, kind of like what it is now. And so homeschooling has definitely leveled up since I was a homeschooler. And so I applaud people like Heather who homeschool their kids. My sister-in-law and brother homeschool their kids. They're involved in all kinds of activities. And so I just didn't want that to be like, my homeschool experience was completely different than what homeschool is today. And so I have nothing against homeschoolers at all. It just was not for me. And and now it is.
Well, Amy, that is a great segue into what I was just getting ready to say. I was going to say, Heather, okay, so a lot of people who do traditional school think that homeschooling is only for crunchy people, and Heather, you are crunchy. Let's just be honest, you're crunchy. We're going to admit that. But have you become a hero?
No. No.
What? Your friends are not coming to you and saying, help, I don't know what I'm doing.
I think that, it's funny because I actually reached out to some of my homeschool moms and said, hey, if you could give advice to parents that are in this crisis mode of teaching, what advice would you give them? And because I have ideas, right? But the one thing that I want to tag back on from the conversation we were just having is, we are now placed, y'all are being placed in this position where your kids have been at school with teachers and you don't see how they're learning. And we know now through all this research that kids learn differently. Some are kinesthetic, some are visual. And so this is a great opportunity for you guys or for parents to learn how their kids learn. I have one that will get on her bouncy ball and she bounces the whole time she's doing schoolwork. I don't know how she does it. I would be exhausted. But I've even said, hey, I'll be reading from a book and she'll be bouncing and I'll say, okay, you've done a lot of activity there. Do you even know what I said? And she will verbatim tell me exactly what I said. And so for her, this is something that she needs to do to learn. Well, I've got another one that can't stand the feel of paper. And so we have to figure out how to. So my point is, use this opportunity to really study your children as they are going through their studies. I mean, does one of them need it quiet? Do you have another one that needs more visual stimulus, so that you can, after all this quarantining is over, you can aid them better and even help their teachers know what they need to really learn and absorb what they're learning. But so, that's that. But read, I have all kinds of advice, I'll be honest, but the most important thing is get the work done that the teachers are requiring you to do and the district is requiring you to do, and then just enjoy it. Just sit back and enjoy that time with your kids. Teach them to cook, teach them to sew. One of my friends said, she said, think about it like this. If I die tomorrow, are my kids going to be able to take care of themselves? Will they be able to mend something? Will they be able to cook dinner for themselves? Will they be able to plant flowers? Take them out, enjoy nature, because the slide may be there, but that's what the teachers will be there. That's been said several different times. The teachers will be there to catch them up. But you're not breaking your kids. You're not at all.
That is so good. You said, Heather, I have all kinds of advice. Like, some of us are still on the hashtag struggle bus when it comes to distance learning. So what are 2 or 3 things, or 1 or 2 things that you can recommend just from your vast experience in homeschooling?
Read to your kids. Make reading something you do every single day, because I have a child that's dyslexic and severe. But her vocabulary is insane because we read all the time, and we read books that are above level for her. And so we make read aloud part of our everyday life. So even if they're not at an age to be reading themselves, have them read. So that's one that we do. And then play games. Because when you teach them, when they play games, they can learn math, strategy. They learn, it helps them actually learn how to learn, because they're learning the rules of a game. They're learning how to follow directions. They're learning. So board games are absolutely amazing. Take your schooling outside. Get out of the house. You can learn anywhere. And I know several people have mentioned, Rochelle has mentioned that as well, that, you know, this is crisis learning. This is not homeschooling, and we learn outside. We go to the parks and learn, and we get on our trampoline and take our books out there, and we do that outside. We're so very unconventional. And then another would be to stop schooling the way the schools teach, because you're not a school teacher. And so schedules are extremely important, because it keeps everybody moving, especially when you've got 6 kids. You need to be able to schedule your kids. We do loop scheduling. So that basically means they have a schedule. If they don't complete anything from that day, then wherever they left off, they pick up and they move on to the next. And see, we school year round. So, you know, if we have something come up, or if we want to take a vacation, we just kind of stall, and that's okay, because then we just pick right back up and then we continue on. And we just school throughout the whole year. And sometimes we take 6 weeks off in the summer, and sometimes we take 3. So schedules are extremely important, but not to the point where you're standing in front of your kids and teaching them from a whiteboard.
Like Laura Ingalls Wilder in the One Room Schoolhouse. Don't do that.
No, and you know, my kids are fortunate with the way that they learn. They get to choose what subject they do at what time, and the big thing for me is just making sure that I'm available when they need me. But our curriculum is a homeschool curriculum, and it is. So a lot of it is self-guided, self-learning, and then we supplement with, you know, field trips and our co-op and other things like that. But it's designed for homeschooling. But getting out of that mindset that you have to teach like the teacher, because that's not, you know, even as a homeschool, we don't do that. A lot of parents, when they first pull their kids out of public school, we actually do what's called unschooling. And it's just kind of retraining yourself that this is a choice that you've made, and how is this going to work for you? And so as parents with children in public school or charter schools, and Julie has said it, and Amy has said it, and, you know, you have to find what works best for you as a family, and that's how it's going to work. But really try to embrace the time and enjoy it. Because there are struggles. I'm not going to lie to you. Homeschooling's hard. It's hard. And I was one that said, I will never homeschool ever. Nope. And when the Lord laid it on my heart, I pushed a wall over, because I was like, no, this is not going to happen. And here we are, 4 years later.
Ain't that funny?
I can't imagine doing anything different. I love it.
Gloria,
so just try to embrace that time.
You know,
I love
Heather,
that. That's all great advice.
I really loved what you said about just, you know, what works for you, and just taking the time to enjoy, you know, your kids and how they learn. And I think this is very important, because, you know, with me and my mom was my teacher, and I'm a very distracted person. And I'm I'm like Donita. I can't sit still. I've already done like 50 DIYs since being in quarantine. And I'm like, I've got to stop.
You are not alone.
I am like, I'm tired, you know, like I gotta chill. And so, you know, I have to give props to my mom of just being really patient and just really taking the time and putting in the effort to teach me how I learn and really observing how it is that I learn. I learned really well by being outdoors and doing things with my hands, which is so evident as like an adult because I'm still that way. I'm like, let me just do stuff with my hands, which is why I'm in dental. So I'm like, I got to be busy with my hands, you know? And so, you know, just her, I have to give her props. You know, I hated homeschooling, but I have to give, you know, credit where credit is due, that she did take the time to teach me in a way that was easier for me to learn. And I think that was a really important point that you made, is discover how your children learn and then go with that and just really become in tune with them and their learning abilities.
Yeah. Hey, Gloria, what did you want to add?
I mean, I don't want to be a dead horse, but yes, definitely do what works for you, because even in the classroom, when I get to those 20 kids, I know that Jason isn't going to learn the same as Cynthia. I have to do something different for each one of those students. So even within your own household, you may have to do different things. Some of my kids, I can say, hey, go do your work, and it's done. And some of them I have to sit down and say, math time is not over. Keep doing your math. And so just knowing that you might have to do something different for each one of your actual kids themselves. Each one is an individual person and has to learn in a different way, and is going to thrive doing different things. Some of my kids I could send outside. Some of them, if I sent outside, I might not see them until ice cream dinner time. So I couldn't do that. I wouldn't see them again. So just be, you know, gracious with yourself, and that you're learning how to do this, and just keep going. And please don't compare yourself to what someone is doing. You know, I have this friend that also has a lot of kids, and she's always putting her color coordinated, you know, schedule on Facebook, and I'm like, but yeah, it's not going to work for my kids. It's not. They're different. My kids are wild, and I even had to text my youngest teacher, like, does my kid have ADD or something? Oh my gosh, she doesn't stop moving. So she's gonna just need something different than my other kids. So just make sure that you're focused on what works for you and your kids and your household and your individual kids. I keep saying students because I'm a teacher. Your individual kids themselves, and understand that even with me, Valiant may be able to handle something independently, and I may have to grab Bea by the hand on some subjects. So that's all I was going to say.
You know, I think that teachers are cracking up at us right now. I love that you said you had to text your teacher and say, is my child the ADD? She's probably like, yes. I'm glad that you finally noticed.
So said, I don't think so. But I'm like, wait, I don't think so? Like, you don't want to get legally in trouble for telling me this?
Exactly.
Donita, I want to add something to that.
Uh-huh.
I want to, coming from a family of 8, I'm one of 8 children. Parents, utilize your older children.
Amen. I wish I had some.
Grader. Amen. My 6th grader, Quentin, I'm shouting out to him because he has become the expert technology, the technology
Guru.
expert in our home, because Quentin knows everything about Google Classroom. He sets it up. He makes sure that they're doing their work. He has become an expert. He loves technology. He wants to be a coder or gamer. And so he's taking advantage of this time and using to help his brother. So parents, we do not have to do all this by ourselves. We've only been doing distant learning for 3-4 weeks. Let the high schoolers help the younger children. That's what we learned growing up. We were taught in our home, the older children, help with your brothers, help your sisters. We may need to return back to that for the next month. Just allowing, if your older child is good with math, allow your 6th grader to help your 1st grader, or allow your 2nd grader to help your pre-care. And don't feel like you have to do this perfectly. We're all learning. Allow the older kids to learn. That could be their service learning project. You know, just be real creative don't be stressed about, the teachers know we're not perfect. So don't stress yourself thinking that the teachers are going to think you suck as parents, because they know that this is hard for us.
Rochelle, you gave me a great idea, that just wasn't exactly my idea. I saw something on Facebook where somebody was saying that she was frustrated with distance learning and she was doing it all by herself. So she decided to enlist the grandparents. And she said, okay, I want Mima to do a lesson on snow, something that goes with snow. I can't think of anything. Polar bears. I get snowflakes. I had a brain fart. And then Peepaw did a lesson on something else. So they zoomed in and they did a lesson. And so now I'm thinking about my nephew. He was a senior in high school. They love him to pieces. And he is doing nothing but walking the dog all day. He can be a teacher. He would be a great teacher. So don't only enlist the people in your house, use that those Zooms and the FaceTimes and things like that, and ask the nieces and nephews and grandpas and grandmas to do something too. Because grandma and grandpa are probably kind of bored right now. They're just staring at each other and going, when is this going to be over? Because I am tired of you. They probably would want something to do. My dad would really jump at that, honestly, especially if I gave him some like money, something. He used to be a financial consultant. So anyway, I digress. So I do want to say that if you are loving this homeschooling thing and you are within the sound of my voice and you're like, you know what, I never thought I would do this, but this has actually been kind of cool. I do encourage you to go back and listen to our episode that we did early in 2019 about homeschooling. We had 2 homeschoolers come on and talk about just all the resources that are available and what they're doing that works for them. And that's a great episode if you're actually kind of thinking that this might be something that you want to continue to do in the fall. I also want to say, or I want to ask you guys, and we're really over, so if you guys can make your answers possibly as brief as possible. I want to ask, what do you want to take with you? What do you hope to take with you after all of this is over? Nothing. Gloria.
Well, because I'm sort of in a situation where I'm the sole provider as well, and I'm working from home and trying to homeschool these kids and stuff like that. I have to say that I would have gone insane if it wouldn't have been for other people reaching out to me. The church that I go to, the children's pastor messaged me and said, do you have board games? Do you need board games? Do you need new board games? Do you want to, trade off board games, or what is it that your kids need? And then, and then the church itself saying, are you guys good on food? Are you good on toilet paper? Is there something that we can do for you? And I mean, fortunately, I haven't been, haven't needed yet to say, yeah, I need some milk, but just knowing that even in a crisis, even when, everyone's kind of buckling down and trying to figure it out at the same time, there are still people reaching out to me as a person and saying, like, the Lord cares about your children and we see you. And yes, we know that you're going through this alone and you're having to figure it out alone. And so we want you to know that, you're not alone. We're a text away. If there's something that you guys need, give us a shout. I think that helped my sanity, that helped my heart, because I can get very like, oh, I'm by myself, I got to figure this out by myself. Other people have, husbands to sit down and let's brainstorm, and I don't have that, and what am I going to do, and feel very overwhelmed by it. But people, best friends reaching out for me, literally saying, how are you mentally? Like, how's your mental health? Helped me be a good mom, because it made me feel like I'm not in it by myself. And so that was sort of a not school question, but just an encouragement to me to want to be like those people too. Reach out and see how I can help someone even when I'm freaking out and I'm having a hard time. I want to come out of this like those people. like a helper. I think there's like a Mr. Rogers quote out there that says, you know, when the crisis comes, look for the helpers. And I have been so unbelievably grateful and blessed that those helpers reached out for me, because sometimes it's hard to say what you need. You don't know. You're like, I don't know what I need. And so someone asking, like, specifically, do you need milk? Do you need board games? It saves lives. I mean, it really does mean the world to people who are, you know, doing this on their own. And so I don't know if I answered your question, but I just hope that I aspire to like be like them, you know, be the helper like Mr. Rogers said. I want to be like them.
No, you absolutely answered my question. I wasn't really looking for an academic answer. I just wanted to know, you know, there's so much good that is happening during this time. We're experiencing some really scary stuff, and there's a lot of uncertainty, but we've had more family dinners now during this time. I've cooked more. My husband had taken over the cooking because he really likes grilling, but I've gotten back to cooking. I made Easter dinner. We usually have Easter dinner over my sister's house, but obviously we didn't do that this year. And I made Easter dinner, and I got to tell you, I kind of rocked Easter dinner. And so, you know, I might start cooking a little bit more. So, you know, there's quite a few things that I want to take out of quarantine with us and continue to incorporate into our lives. Anybody else? Like maybe one more.
Yeah. I just, you know, we've slowed down a lot more, and we've stopped living by a schedule. And, you know, not that I want to, you know, not ever go back to that, but just not rushing my kids off everywhere. You know, I feel like so much of our life before has been like, hurry up, we got to go, we're going to be late. And it's just nice not to be doing that. And so I would just love to continue that. And then, you know, even inside quarantine, we've connected with, you know, a lot of people, and just making time for that is important. And, you know, I mean, even like we have a sweet friend who's been coming over and schooling my kids on Tuesdays because she knows that's a really hard day for us. And I just want to be mindful of that and to continue to connect with, you know, with people on a deeper level, you know, even outside of this. And we, you know, we do that. It's, you know, part of my husband's job, but just being very intentional with our relationship. So I want to continue that.
Yeah, I love that. Who out of all, I know because I know all of you guys separately, I know how y'all are quarantining, or at least I think quarantining, kind of quarantining. Who is really following the rules? Like we are at the Bailey house, we're really following the rules. And okay, so Rochelle's raising her hand. So what is it going to take for you to be comfortable to go back out again? Let's say next week they say, okay, we're all safe. Go back to doing what you were doing. Well, you should see her face. Let me switch cameras so you can see her face.
I'll be honest, y'all. I have two high-risk people in my home. My son has asthma. The 11-year-old has asthma, and my husband is considered high risk because of his blood pressure and other health issues. My sons asked me that, what if school said that we can come back next week, Mom? Or are we going to get to go back to school? And the answer is no. There would have to be no more cases for me to feel comfortable getting back to regular life, because of all the risks that I'm putting my children at risk when I go out. So I just stopped going out at all. I don't even go out grocery shopping anymore. I do everything online, because the exposure when you're high risk, it's a different feel than if you have nobody in your family high risk. You know, every time I go out, I put my family at risk. So I take that very seriously. And so we literally, we take it seriously. So I don't know what it's going to take. It's going to have to take a treatment, some vaccinations. But I'll know when it happens. I'm nowhere near there yet.
Nowhere near there yet. Yeah, I'm right with you, because I have asthma and DJ has asthma. And just listening to some of the accounts of people who have COVID-19 is terrifying. You know, some people are like Idris Elba, who seems to be living his best COVID-19 life. He seems to be okay, at least in his post. But then there's those people who are like, I woke up and I felt like I was drowning. And for an asthmatic, that is the most frightening thing to hear. So we have been very serious about people coming over. Like, I'm about to put a note on my door and say, if you knock on my door, I will wave at you from the window. And you see that tree? I'm going to need you to go stand by that tree. And then I will open my door and have a conversation with you. So it's going to take a while for me. I don't know that I'm going to wait till there's no cases, because I don't know. I don't know when that's going to happen. You might not go anywhere until 2021. Rochelle, we're not going to see Rochelle for a long time.
Well, and all joking aside, everybody knows me, know that I'm 100% extroverted. Like, I'm the one that you call when you want to have a party, because I'm like that friend that would come over with food and so my friends are because they're like, can we do drive-in theaters? Just, you can stay in your van. I'm like, no drive-in theaters, no drive-by anything. We are not. This is so serious for us right now with having this child with asthma and my husband. Like, I don't know when or if I'll see you guys, because it is so serious when you have the extreme cases. And so the other part of that is it's made me struggle on the struggle bus, because my kids aren't struggling as much as I'm struggling. I miss my friends.
Mm-hmm.
I miss, like, we talk about the kids needing our friends. We need our friends too. And so I've had to find ways. I've had to call more because I'd rather be in face-to-face. So I was like, dang, since I can't see you, I guess I got to talk to you. I guess I got to Zoom you. But I'd rather be there. I'm a hugger. So to not be able to hug people, to not be able to just say, I miss you. So, yeah, so pray for your extroverted friends that we are not okay.
So, Rochelle, let me ask. So, have you left the house in 4 weeks at all?
So I leave for essential meaning food.
Okay. That's all I want to know. Wait,
food.
super
and
quick.
Then Walmart took me over the top.
No, okay, don't go there, because I feel you there. Okay, but what I do want to encourage you is that what I've done with a couple of friends is we've gone and had coffee dates in a parking lot, and by what I mean by that is we parked next to each other. I'm on my side of the car. She's also on the driver's side of the car. So we are at least 6 feet apart. We're in different parking spaces, and then we are also separated. We roll down the window, we drink our coffee, we have ourselves a good time. And so we are separated, but that brought me life, because I'm so tired of two-dimensional people. Like, I need a 3D friend. And so sitting in the car and having a conversation with somebody who I can actually see respond, and it's more than just two-dimensional, like I can see the back of their head and all those things. That really made a difference. And for, I'm introverted, so I'm not feeling anything like what you're feeling, but that really made a difference. And even when the bees started to attack us and drive in and out of our cars, and we had to roll up the windows and call each other and have conversations that way, it still felt great, because we're talking and I can still see her with her window, but she's talking. And so that's just something that you might consider doing. Super quick, Amy.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to chime in here because, I'm living with my son and then my two parents who are older and immune compromised. And then Alec, just recently, his baby asthma kind of came back a little bit.
Oh, no.
So I'm kind of on high alert. I'm the only one leaving the house. That said, it's kind of hard too, because I come in contact with, infectious diseases every day. And so I'm used to being, in masks, gloves, lab coats every day, and, being protected against that. And I don't want to say like I'm immune to that feeling, because doing that out in public is totally different than doing that within my office setting. But I don't think that I have I don't want to say fear, but maybe like I'm not as concerned about it as I would be if that wasn't like my everyday life. Mm-hmm. So for me, in order for me to like say, okay, it's okay for everybody to go out, it would have to be more of like what other people are doing rather than, like, are you guys still like using precautions? Like, are you guys following all the, all of the orders or whatever? And so I think for me, it's going to be more of like just kind of scanning and seeing what precautions the general public is taking is what's going to depend on if I feel comfortable taking my family or, anybody else outside of the house. It was funny you were saying wanting to see people, besides just two-dimensional. I've been FaceTiming my friends. We have wine and we're all like drinking our wine and like talking, FaceTime, whatever, which has been great. But again, I've been really busy here at home. And so it's kind of like I'm filling my downtime with other things so that I don't miss them so bad. Definitely, I think the number one thing I miss the most is just going to dinner. Like, I love going to dinner with my girlfriends, and just we haven't done that, and I'm struggling a little bit there. So I know that once everything opens back up, there's probably going to be an influx of people, in all of these places, and we've all decided like we're going to wait at least like 2 months before we go to dinner. Let everybody get it out of their system, and then we'll all go to dinner or whatever. So, but yeah, I think it's based on what the general public is doing to stay cautious.
Yeah,
it's going to depend on if I get out or not.
Yeah, I really kind of feel like you guys go first. Let me see how it works for you.
Exactly.
And then maybe I will come out from hiding. Gloria, you had your hand up. Did you want to?
I don't remember what I was going to say. I forgot what I was going to say.
Okay. Understandable. Completely. All right. We are like so out of time. I did want to mention a couple of episodes to go back and listen to that could be helpful during this time. Grief in kids. We did an episode right before the quarantine started with a little boy who and his grandfather, and they lost the little boy's sister. And he wrote a book about how to talk to your kids about grief. So that's a great episode. We also, earlier in 2019, did an episode about anxiety and depression. We did a trauma episode, an episode about dealing with trauma. Recently, we did an episode called Emotional Health During a Pandemic. Also, we did the one when they closed the schools. That was with a principal and my friend who is a teacher teaching in China. So she was about probably 6 weeks ahead of us in quarantine. They actually have recently gotten out of quarantine. So they're where we will be, I don't know, maybe June or July or whatever. So that was a great episode. Another one is we did an episode in January about organization and time management. And last but not least, the episode about understanding the new math. I know that there's a lot of people on the struggle bus trying to figure out what is an array and why are we not carrying the 2 anymore. So we had a second grade math teacher come on and talk all about that. So if that's your struggle, go back and check out that on anywhere where you listen to your favorite podcast, and then on schooldazedshow.com. And then last but not least, we do want to say that, it's okay to admit that you're not okay. I think a lot of us have done that today. I definitely have gone between being okay and not being okay quite a bit in the last 5 weeks. The incidences of child abuse has risen since we've been in quarantine. And we mentioned at the beginning that experts are saying that a lot of us are experiencing grief, depression, and anxiety. So please reach out to someone if you feel like you're needing some help. On our episode about emotional health during a pandemic, one of the counselors told us about this crisis text line. The crisis text line serves anyone in any type of crisis. So that's, anxiety, suicide, emotional abuse, self-harm, etc. And they provide access to for free 24/7 support. And their website is crisistextline.org. And it also provides information like symptoms, risk factors, and what to do if you think somebody's in trouble. And also, and I'll have this stuff on schooldazeshow.com. I also reached out to some of my friends that are therapists, and there are therapists that are providing free sessions online if you're needing to talk to someone and get some expert advice. I will have that information on schooldayshow.com. She texted that to me, but I didn't have a chance to really grab that. So anyway, unfortunately, we are out of time. I did want to say thank you guys so much for giving us your time, and we went way over, and I hope your kids aren't going crazy and not being taught. It was a lot.
Playing video games.
Oh, so he's totally cool.
He's totally good.
Out riding bikes.
I locked my bedroom door.
Yep.
I don't really know.
Gloria, you're on mute. What did you just say?
Oh, I said mine have completely destroyed the house, I promise you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to walk into Jumanji.
Yeah, I fear the same about my house when I get home. But anyway, hopefully we provided some good information to people and we were able to help them in spite of the fact that our house is probably a mess right now. So thank you guys for joining us. Noggin Educational Foundation is the premier sponsor of School Days. So we always want to tell you guys what's going on with what's happening with Noggin. Our mission is to help close the I'm going to get this. And I'm going to re-record this. Our mission is to help close the achievement gap for economically disadvantaged children by improving educational opportunities for students, supporting families, and encouraging excellence and innovation in the classroom. School Days is part of our commitment to support families by providing access to experts who offer information and resources regarding all topics that impact education. If you love this program, please consider donating to Noggin. Your gift will be tax deductible. Head to our website, schooldayshow.com, to give today. Tomorrow, my guest will be friend of the show, Stacy Danford. Stacy is a neuroscientist and gratitude expert. She will talk to us about practicing gratitude during tough times. So catch our Facebook Live at 11 a.m. tomorrow on our Noggin page, our Noggin Educational Foundation page. Don't forget to share that with your parent friends. And always, head to our website, schooldayshow.com, for more information about all that we're doing and all the resources that we mentioned here on School Days. And remember, you don't ever have to miss a show. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, and pretty much anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Noggin Foundation. That's Noggin. And last but not least, we always want to end the show by saying that David and I are parenting by grace. We depend on God to give us the wisdom and strength that we need to raise our kids into flourishing adults. And if you want to know more about that, feel free to email me at info@schooldays.school. Good gravy. info@schooldayshow.com. Have a great week and stay safe.